So thank you to come and welcome to this second Beyla community call. We will discuss some topics, but one of the topics I'd like to demonstrate and talk about is about the decoration of the routes. Let me put some context. I have some applications here deployed in a Kubernetes cluster. One is a simple block application. There is also another application of a service internally invoking other services, and I will instrument them with Beyla. So if you remember from the previous community call, we will just deploy Beyla 1.3, which is the latest version that has been released. And we will send our data to OpenTelemetry. I got some deployed a credentials template here in which I put the headers, the Grafana OTLP headers, and oops.
Are you trying to share your screen or?
Oh, yes, I forgot it. It's okay because by accident I show some credentials and I was thinking, okay, I need to erase that. Okay, sharing the entire screen. Okay, so this is the deployment file of a Beyla. We deploy Beyla as a demo set, so one instance of Beyla will instrument multiple services. It's important that in that case, the Beyla pod gets the host PID, access to the host PID, so it is able to access all the processes in a given node. And yeah, we will configure Beyla with the basic configuration. We will enable Kubernetes metadata, so it can decorate the metrics with Kubernetes metadata, but we'll also be able to discover the processes based on Kubernetes Kubernetes attributes. And here we provide, just as environment variables, the OpenTelemetry endpoint and credentials. The credentials is just a secret we already deployed. So a part of it's important also to, in order to let Beyla analyze the pods demo and replica sets, owning the processes to instrument, it's important to create a cluster role with list and watch permissions for both replica sets and pods. So we created a service account named Beyla, the cluster role. We bound this cluster role to this service account, and then here we created this service account. This is a necessary step. When we provide a Helm chart or other means to deploying, that should be more automatic, and you shouldn't do that manually. In addition, we have a Beyla configuration file already defined here, in which at the moment we only provide how to discover the services to instrument. We tell Beyla to instrument all the services in two given namespaces: the demo namespace, in which I have a demo service just to generate some noise, and the block namespace, in which you will see this, in which is this block engine deployed. Let me deploy Beyla. So everything is already okay. So Beyla should be running. You can see here how Beyla found some different processes. This front-end, back-end, worker, load generator is this demo service. and this Go block is the block engine. So after a few seconds, we should already see some information in Grafana. Let me just do some invocations, and we should start seeing some metrics. Okay, you see these the different phone services for HTTP. We could also query RPC services, but this metric is only HTTP. We see this block, Go block, demo backend, and demo frontend, and the metrics have an HTTP root attribute that is actually the HTTP root, but this is by default set to a wildcard asterisk. Let me increase the size to avoid cardinality explosion, because this cardinality explosion might lead to some problems. I will. We can tell Beyla to maybe just set any value in this or the raw value of the path in the HTTP route. But to avoid cardinality explosion, we can tell Beyla how to group the routes by pattern. For example, this block engine has some common paths, like for example the path entry slash a given identifier of the page. So here we can say a routes section with the patterns to capture. For example, something like that. Yeah.
So Beyla is super cool because I can deploy it sort of in a, in Cube system or in its own namespace, and it can provide observability for a whole bunch of different kind of unknown workloads running in my cluster.
Yeah.
Have you thought of how of a right now you have to centrally write down all the routes, which isn't necessarily very amenable to that pattern of the infra team deployed Beyla to get a bunch of stuff and the application developers don't need to care. How do you see Beyla evolving or the config surface evolving so that it's
good question. Okay. This is actually the what I was doing now is the path to follow when you know your application, and you can provide detailed information here or information that is bounded to what you want to get. For example, if I only wanted to get patterns about the entry, I could just do that and forget about the others. But it's true that when you don't know the patterns, you can also set this property on match heuristic. This way, what will Beyla do is it will look for gibberish in the patterns, and then we'll insert an asterisk where it found some gibberish in some folder, assuming that this is an ID or this is a changing number. Let's first deploy with that, and it usually works pretty well. For example, let me redeploy that. I need to delete and apply just to reapply the config map. Yeah. Now we are running in the heuristic heuristic mode for these unmatched patterns. Let's see how it works by default. Okay, got some. Not yet getting it. Let me check if. Sorry, it's unmatched. I misspelled. Yeah, now it should work. Let me generate some traffic. And let's go here to Grafana now. Okay. You could see this, for example, in the Go block, you will see that it already added this entry static. For example, static entry is this is just is part of each entry, and static is, for example, for the images. They have this static. So Beyla already got this by default heuristically. So that way we can get information about the paths without having to specify all the routes. But even that, in some cases, the gibberish or this heuristic shouldn't work. Imagine we have I don't know, another kind of application in which you have users, and here the user is not a numeric, but a user-defined ID. I don't know, Wonder Woman info, something like that. And this Wonder Woman will change across users.
Yep.
So now I get a document not found, but anyway, Beyla will capture this. In that case, you can see that Beyla, we will get a cardinality explosion. So even in some cases where the heuristic doesn't work, in that cases, we could apply the patterns. That will be users, ID, info, and in that case, it will work.
Okay, that's good. So you can override the heuristic with
yes. Yeah, you in that case could provide more fine-grained information. Yeah, it accepts this syntax or this syntax, which it's also used in other frameworks. So I think I redeployed. So let me just call this, for example, users Wonder Woman, users Luigi Bros, and whatever. And now instead of getting or populating this route, we should see this user's ID info here. This way we can, it's a mixture between automatic and user provided information to deal with this complexity or cardinality.
Have you guys thought about at all any, I'll say, per application way of configuring it? Like as a really dumb example, could I have a pod annotation that says, here are my routes, so that users don't need to, how would I put it? Like,
yeah, that's
between centralized and like application team controlled.
Yeah, that's a very good proposal. We have been thinking. We are aware that this is a very simple way to propose routes, and even it is one single configuration for all the possible applications, and maybe it's not the best case always. Yeah, we thought a per application configuration, but your annotated configuration, it's also, so I just took notes because it sounds a good idea. But since we are just growing and the resources are limited, we were just waiting to someone to get this problem in order to implement it, and we have been focusing on other features. But this annotation based, it's very interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess from my perspective, the heuristic thing is really cool if I know all the applications that are probably going to be running. If I were to make like a blanket recommendation for someone to deploy this in a large cluster, I would probably tell them, yeah, just turn off the route. You'll get enough value from your regular HTTP stuff. So like starting from, I mean, I'm no user. I'm a platform-ish person as well. So I'm probably similarly in your shoes, and would look for user feedback. But to me, safety is like a big, or like not having cardinality explosion is like a big win for something like Beyla that can kind of sit in the background and run, and not sort of cause any problems.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good. Yeah. It's a. I like your proposal also because I've been always thinking on one Beyla operator configuring it. But it's true that this annotation based, it will also help that each team will own or will be in charge of configuring Beyla for their own services. So it's a very good idea. Even if the if you are not super safe with this cardinality, with this heuristic, because you might think that maybe in some cases it could explode cardinality, you can always say a match equals wildcard, and it will just use the patterns.
Yep.
And if it is not able to get them, it will just set a wildcard. Then each team could add their own annotations. Yeah, but I think it's a good idea. I will annotate that feature. Yeah.
Thanks. And I had another question about Kubernetes service discovery. So Beyla seems, at one point in time you recommended sidecars, but it seems like the new, and I expect like permanently recommended way to run Beyla is going to be as a daemon set. When you watch pod resources in particular, do you know if you filter that watch by the node name of the node that the Beyla pod is running on, or does it watch all pods in the cluster?
I need to look the implementation. I'd say that at some point I filtered by node just to avoid having an in-memory copy of data you won't use. But I should look the implementation. I'd say we filter by node, but I will make sure, because this is something, if it's not done, it's something easy to do and will save a lot of memory. Yeah, but I'd say it actually filters.
And the only other, if you have a large number of nodes in the cluster, watching all of the like replica sets and deployments and stuff can get very expensive. Is there a way today to turn off like the controller-based metadata?
Yes, in that case, actually it's disabled by default. You need to set this variable. At the moment, it's disabled by default.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, like if you enable that, you get all metadata, which means like
no. We actually only get, we have a Kubernetes Informer implementation that internally it listens for the whole metadata, but it stores just the information we need, which is it's a very small struct. I can even show it to you just to get an idea of the information we get.
Yeah, I guess I'm primarily coming from, like, I've done a number of security or scalability reviews for the GKE team, and so I know, especially for daemon sets, it can be problematic to watch replica sets or deployments or stateful sets or things like that, because like with pods, at least you can do what the kubelet does and only watch the pods that are co-located with you on the node. For deployments, there's no like way to shard it by node effectively. So if you have 1,000 nodes, that means 1,000 things that are watching all of the deployments and getting all of those updates and such, right?
Yeah. In terms of memory, we are just storing this small, just to reduce the memory we are watching. Is this info in which we have this object meta, because this is a mandatory field, the type, the owner, so few strings, and even the owner is small. So that way we reduce the amount of memory. In terms of consumption of CPU, if you are getting always events and so on, yeah, I think we still need to watch for replica sets, because otherwise, when we report the owner name, we are actually interested on deployments. So when you send a deployment, or when you create a deployment, it will create a replica set and then the pods. And if you want to get the name of the owner, you will get from the pod, you can get the name of the replica set, which is some gibberish name. So we actually want to know the name of the deployment. So that's why we still need to listen for replica sets in order to get the name of the deployment of that pod. I don't know if it's a better solution, or to avoid getting too many notifications in the informer.
Right. Well, it's less. I'm actually less concerned with the CPU or memory cost locally. It's more that in large clusters, it puts a lot of load on the API server, just in terms of like the amount of time you have to serve.
Okay, I see. Okay, and you say this happens especially for replica sets, but not for pods?
So the reason it has to do with the interaction between a daemon set and, because pods is a special case where you can filter by node name, and the API server is optimized because of the kubelet to be able to only generate the required watch events for, if you filter by node name when you're watching pods, you only get traffic for pods node. And they've done a good job of making sure that works well. The details of which I'm not aware of, but for replica sets and deployments and such, there's no filter that you could apply. So
okay, yeah. Now I understand. Yeah, now I understand. Yeah,
and it's because it scales with a number of nodes. So, and in an ideal world, in a large cluster, you would have something like a cluster service or something that's doing the linking, or that's doing the enrichment of adding replica set and deployment. I suppose the other option would be like make a guess. It's like, oh, this pod has a funky, or the pod has a replica set owner ref. I'm gonna make a guess that there's a deployment behind that has the trimmed name or something. Like maybe you could get away with that, but yeah, I think you understand the.
Yeah. It's I wasn't aware of these internal details, so we never considered that. But yeah, at the moment the only possibility is just keep this disabled. Then you won't get Kubernetes discovery nor metadata decoration, but at least you say
right. The thing I care about, or the thing I would hope to be able to get, is pod-based metadata.
Okay. Yeah.
But not necessarily the rest of it, because Kubernetes is designed to have things per node that are watching pods on that node. right? It's well optimized for that use case.
Yeah, it's true. We could add an intermediate option like within metadata pod base or yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, very valuable. Thank you. Yeah. Nice. So yeah, with respect to routes and how to configure it for Kubernetes, I think that's all we already have. We have another topic. It's basically about debugging. We can debug currently at 3 levels. One is the log level. We can specify it here or by environment variables. We can also print traces that will let or will show the traces in the standard output. They are formatted traces. Some log reader even could process them, but the main intention was initially to debug the traces. There's a third option or a third debugging option that is to debug the eBPF code. But this is very internal to developers. You will need to go to the kernel trace pipe, and the data is not really meaningful unless you are familiarized with the code. It's the other is really debugging. But yeah, at least to get this information, you can get this log level and print traces, and that will in that way you will get some Beyla information or some traces printed here. You can see them. There's also this is more related for or more aimed also at performance at performance analysis. Beyla also allows to work in profiling mode. The documentation is here in the docs. That is the profiling. If you specify the Beyla profile port variable, you will be able to use the Go tool pproof to analyze the performance of Beyla. That will allow us if some user comes with some memory or CPU issue, we just send them this receipt and ask them for some different profiles and traces, and that way we can analyze that. Example. If we redeploy Beyla, let me forward the pod. So Beyla should be already working. Let me, for example, just send a trace of, just to download a trace of the unsafe port. It's an unsafe port. I don't know. Okay. I don't know what this means. Maybe some satanic people already choose that port for something. It was not my intention. Okay, let me try again. Okay, that way we have this heap, so we can already look it. And we can analyze this. I don't remember how was the was something like that. No, I don't. Okay, I don't remember to open the port, but yeah, that. How was the port? Okay, I don't remember how to open the HTML. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, but that way you can get the heap profile or other profile. So this is a very useful also feature to get or to diagnose any problem we might have with Beyla. We usually recommend to deploy Beyla already with this profile port because we noticed the impact of this feature was minimal if you are not retrieving continuously profile information. So yeah, I think we covered all the topics we initially planned for today. I don't know if there's something else you are interested to know about or to discuss about.
What are the best ways that, I mean, what are the best ways for others to help out with the project? I know that there's like a core group of Grafana maintainers that's been doing a great job. Mostly that's been like filing bugs and trying things out, and
yeah, we have we have a public Grafana channel, a Beyla channel in the Grafana public Slack. So many people come here, ask, they come there, they ask for problems, but they also provide or ask for requests or discuss some solutions. Another way is directly here in the issues, file an issue. Or even better, if you want to contribute, you can send any pull request. Yeah, we don't have already organized a lot the how to work with external contributions because we are very young project.
Yep.
We are starting to have our first community contributions. For example, this Helm chart of this what you see here, fixed metric names. We are starting to have small contributions that can be usually don't need a lot of discussion. We usually accept them. But yeah, at some point we will need to organize and provide extra ways for or a better organization for collaboration. But yeah, at the moment, any of the two communication channels, namely the issues or the public Slack, are fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll have time to do a little bit of work here and there.
Oh, that will be awesome.
yeah, I guess in particular, right now, I'm interested in seeing if it's possible to run Beyla without the privileged, or actually not just without privilege, without cap sysadmin. Um, I, I had a little thread on Slack to try and explore it, but I was digging through Cilium's docs, and they were able to do it by using a privileged init container.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the solutions we got in the table, and yeah, we are some of our team members already had in mind to explore that possibility. Yeah, for non-Kubernetes, because Beyla is also designed to work outside of Kubernetes.
Mhm.
We were thinking on either in two different processes. One process that inits and then launches Beyla with less privileges, or even we were exploring the possibility of a process downgrades its own privileges. So it starts as root and then removes privileges from himself, but I don't know if it is or how it is possible. We need to explore. But for Kubernetes, the most feasible solution looks as the init container. Yeah.
Cool. If you need any help with that, I'm very interested, because I actually got the GK security team to review, and that was one of the things they came back with. So
Yeah. So yeah, I think if you are interested, your any collaboration will be appreciated. But also, yeah, I will annotate that for later discussion with other members to know the status, because it's something that was mentioned, but I haven't heard updated. Yeah.
cool. And then I think there's one other thing. So GK has I don't know if you'd call it a feature, but there's a thing called GK Autopilot, which is where you only pay for your CPU and memory requests as a user. So you throw some pods at it, and you don't get any VMs back. And GK hides all the implementation details. It tends to be very locked down. And in order to run something, you wouldn't be allowed normally to run something like Beyla. But they have a process for onboarding sort of third-party, well-known workloads. And so I understand that, like, you probably have lots of priorities, but if at some point you're interested in making or in getting Beyla allow listed for GK Autopilot, connect you to the right people.
Okay. Yeah. I will annotate that, and we can discuss it later. Yeah.
And I totally get it if it's not like super high on your list of things you care about, because there's
No, but for sure, if everything goes well, as we would like, for sure, sometimes a customer will come and say, "I need that on autopilot." So it's okay to advance these kind of issues and discuss. Maybe it's not our top priority right now, but it's something we need to spot in the radar, definitely.
Cool.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think we are ending on time. The time is ending. So thank you very much for coming. Honestly, thank you a lot, David, for all the feedback. Because you brought some multiple topics that weren't in my radar and are very important to consider. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And cool that you're doing community calls and stuff too.
Yeah, every month we'll be here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And also, Mario, thank you for the presentation. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun.
Nice.
Okay, so
Good.
thank you.